Christopher Schur, that is the name of the officer in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who shot and killed Congolese immigrant Patrick Loyola during 3 weeks ago in a traffic stop. Shot him in the back of the head. Grand Rapids Chief Eric Winstrom had declined to name the officer immediately after the incident, but changed his mind late Monday evening. Here's the statement explaining why. In the interest of transparency, to reduce ongoing speculation and to avoid further confusion, I'm confirming the name already publicly circulating, Christopher Schur, as the officer involved in the April 4th officer-involved shooting. Beginning this week, as required by law, the Grand Rapids Police Department will be releasing documents in response to requests made under the Freedom of Information Act relative to this incident. Any further requests for documents must also be made through a FOIA request and will be provided via the FOIA process as legally allowable. Officer Schur remains on administrative leave, stripped of his police powers, until the conclusions of the Michigan State Police investigation into the potential criminal charges and the completion of GRPD's internal affairs investigation to determine whether all applicable departmental policies were followed. Now, Schur has been a Grand Rapids police officer since 2015. Let's bring in my panel, Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, Lauren Victoria Burke, writer for the NNPA and the GRIO, Demario Solomon Simmons, civil rights attorney and founder of Justice for Greenwood. Glad to have all three of you here. Lauren, I'm going to start with you first. I never understand this whole idea that an officer's name can't get released.
I agree.
Publicly paid by the taxpayers.
Right.
Publicly paid by the taxpayer. And so this, oh no, we can't release that. Oh, but they can release the records of the person involved. They can release how many times they've been arrested. They can release their whole entire history. But this is the kind of thing where police get protection from the system.
No, that's absolutely right. I agree with that. It's a public. You're basically a part of the government. We see it all the time where people's mugshots get released, right? This is before we know whether the person is guilty or innocent of anything. And that person's mugshot is just out there in public view. So I'm not sure why. I mean, we do know why. The police are almost in a special class in the United States. They're treated like a special group that needs to be protected. But I would agree with you on that. I do think, I'm not sure why, all this protection, all this stress out over the name coming out. Also, too, I think part of this is the sort of not wanting to have people looking into this officer's history, which is clearly going to be done now. And that can be done in a public way now because people know that officer's name, which you, of course, can't do when you don't know that officer's name. I suspect that's actually the real reason as to why some of these departments do not want to release the names of officers when they're involved in a shooting like this.
It's just utterly crazy to me, Mustafa, that this happens and we give this level of protection to the police. Again, as if they're in this special class. They are paid by taxpayers. They are responsive to taxpayers.
Exactly. They should actually be held to a higher standard. So that means that when these types of incidents happen, the information should be automatically put out there, because if there's not transparency, then folks are automatically going to think that you're hiding something, that you're trying to protect someone in a different way than you would if it was someone who was not a part of law enforcement. We have to change that dynamic. And his name is out there, as Lauren shared, and now folks will be able to figure out if he's had previous infractions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mustafa, go ahead.
Yeah, so, with all that being said, once again, we got to have more transparency. We also see, for those who've been following this story in the news, that you have, they're now sort of sharing a narrative about his history, the work that he's done, whether in Africa or other places, to try and make sure that he's seen in the best light, and maybe so that folks may not dig as deeply. But we know that there are folks who are definitely going to make sure that the light of day and the truth about whom this individual is will be put out there, whether good or bad.
This is one of the things that we talked about last week, DeMario. Again, the level of protection that is provided to police officers, the fact that the shooting took place 3 weeks ago, and now we're now hearing and seeing who this officer is.
It took 3 weeks for this to happen, and I like what you stated earlier. And what Mustafa stated, these people are not in a special class, and they should be held to a higher level. They are public employees, and it does not matter what this individual's background is and how many black babies he's adopted or how many times he went to the inner city to give out free turkeys. The fact of the matter is that he was on top of an unarmed individual and executed him, shot him in the back of the head, period, point blank. That is absolutely something that someone should go to prison for. He should be fired already immediately. It's a particular crime, and we need to deal deeper into that police department to understand what's going on with a person like that can actually be on the force. What type of background does he have in policing that this person can be on the force? So I'm looking forward to getting more information. The bad thing is, and this is what I tell all my clients, and anytime I'm talking about this issue, regardless of what accountability that we bring towards that officer and that police department, that young 26-year-old man's life was taken, and that's the real tragedy here.
All right, folks, back to that Roadblock Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?